Greetings, everyone. This will be my first ASMR attempt video. I have a purpose for making it. One is I'm going to make a coloring in a drawing book, and I'm doing it because I started doing Amazon affiliates and thought that perhaps I might show this and review it and just talk about it real quick on Amazon, and thought that I might show a picture inside, so I thought I would try to do a picture drawing video. So we'll see how this goes. So here I have my notebook of paper I'm going to draw with. I have my colors, a rainbow variety of ones that I may or may not use. And maybe you shouldn't use mechanical pencils to color with, to draw with, but it's what I'm used to, so that's what I'll use. And let's see, what should I draw? When I was young, I used to draw Sonic the Hedgehog a lot. Well, I used to draw Batman more. And when I got tired of drawing Batman, then I would draw Sonic. And I drew Sonic a lot when I was in school. I used to do full page spreads of the different zones in the original Sonic games. And then I would color them. And so I think I might just go back to some of my artistic roots and draw some Sonic. So we'll see how you enjoy this. What to draw? Well, because I have to think about this. I have to think about what pose am I going to draw, because I could just draw Sonic himself, or I could draw like Green Hill Zone. I've done that before. Let's see. Decisions. Or I could just kind of draw Sonic in different poses. I've done plenty of that before. What to do? I'm waiting for inspiration. Waiting for an idea to come to me. I could maybe do Sonic over here, perhaps, and then put a back layer of Green Hill behind there, perhaps. Let's see here. I maybe should have thought of this before I started. Perhaps. Here's his nose. I always start with his nose. And then I do his face. And then I do his eyes. Which way should he be looking? Should he be looking at us? Or should he be looking ahead? He always looks ahead. But then he also does look at you. He's confident. He's sure of himself. Yeah, sure, he can look at us. Why not? That. And I like to put his ears in next by his eyes. I'll do the other ear off here. And then close off that side of his face. Start drawing that off. And let's see. I'm going to give him a... Oh, you know what I forgot? I didn't grab Peach. I usually use Peach for his skin tone. I might have to pause this and go back and get some. Or I'll just leave that out for now and do it later. How about let's have him reaching for a ring. Get his belly here. And then reaching out for a power ring. Or grasping a power ring. So if he's grasping, his hand will be like this. So, or like that. So, and then ring, stick out like this. Come out that way. It won't be perfectly round, but that's okay. It doesn't have to be perfectly round. Close enough. Never said I was a famous artist or even proficient. It's enough to get the job done. And let's see. Let's kind of have his arm kind of splayed off to the side here. And something that looks like that. Maybe. Something like that. See, I had Sonic the Hedgehog as my gaming choice. Well, not exactly as my gaming analysis. It kind of tells you how old I am now, that generation. Try to fix that a little bit. It's a little better. Still a little weird over here, but it's okay. Like I said, it's close enough. It's been a while since I've done this. Maybe I'm a little out of practice. Okay. And we'll go ahead and now his legs. I don't want to do his legs. Should I try and do a figure 8? Let's see what happens if I do a figure 8. That's not bad. That's not too bad at all. Could be worse. Gets the point across, I suppose. Okay. Let's see. Okay, well, I get Sonic anyway, mostly. And should I do something else? Should I try to do the Green Hill Zone? I don't know. Maybe I just start coloring Sonic and then we'll go from there and we'll see. So, well, I start with his eyes. I'll use green. I have yellow-green for this one here. That I'm going to use for his eyes. And I have a regular green that I could use too to try to do some shading, if I can get it right. Let's try this way. We'll do some in here. Maybe I could try to use the light or the dark green to where it would be the correct point for shading. I really don't know, so I'm just going to pick a spot. If the light's coming this way, then I'll just guess that maybe over here will be where it's the darkest. Okay. Maybe I'll go ahead and get the rest of his eyes and his nose. Drawing can be a soothing activity. Coloring, some sort of artistic thing. It can be soothing. We'll go ahead and we'll do blue. I don't have a plain blue. This one's called True Blue. We'll see how this goes. And if I decide I don't like it, I think I have another blue within grabbing of here. Oh, this is fine. I'll be fine. But yeah, I did forget peach. I use peach for skin colors. You'll have to let me know how my ASMR is doing in my soft-spoken voice. I suppose I could do whispering too. I don't know if whispering will carry very well over the sound of the pencil. Like I said, this is my first legitimate ASMR video. I don't know if I'll make it a common practice or not, but it was convenient to do so at this time. Like I said, I started doing the Amazon affiliate program, which means that I can give reviews on Amazon products and I can receive a small commission. If you follow a link that I post to a product, my hand is starting to smudge the pencil. If you follow a link that I provide to a product, even if you don't purchase that product, but you purchase something else after you've gone through my door, if you will, my storefront, my door, it'll give me a slight commission. So if you're an Amazon shopper and you feel so inclined, you could visit my storefront first, or follow my link to my storefront and then do your browsing there. Or if my video is the one that you watch before purchasing a product that I've reviewed, and I've done some reviews on some things. If mine is the last video that you watch before purchasing it, then it'll also gain me a commission, a very small one. So, if you are so inclined and you desire, you may perhaps help me out in that way, which would be nice of you. But of course, you certainly don't have to. That is up to you. That is completely up to you. I think that about takes care of the blue. Alright, now I'm going to go for the red. Just a plain red. Just a plain red. And I'm just going to keep it simple. I'm just going to go at it. I'm just going to go at it this way. I'm not going to do anything fancy or special. Like I said, I'm not much of an artist. My art abilities are narrow in scope. I have wanted to try doing a Bob Ross sort of painting project. I've seen enough of his videos that I feel like I could give a decent try at it. Certainly not to be proficient at it, but I could give an honest attempt at some fluffy clouds and do a half-decent job at it. Okay, now let's go for this power ring. I got two yellows here, a golden yellow and another yellow, a plain yellow. Let's see if I can do a little bit of shading here. You can maybe see my hand has smudged some of the pencil, but that's okay. We're not going to worry about it too much. This is just for fun. This is just for fun. I don't expect to sell this to anyone. It's just for fun. Now let's see what this golden yellow looks like now that I've got that part down. It almost looks the same, just a little darker. Just a little darker. In fact, it's so similar that there's almost no difference at all. Yeah, there's almost no difference at all. But that's okay. Like I said, we're just having fun. We're just having fun. Let's see here. What else could I do? I've already taken a lot of time and doing a lot of nothing, so let's see here. Should I do I don't know. Maybe I'll just go ahead and try doing some Green Hill. So let's see. Let's just make the ground over here, not for him to run on, but we're just going to have him superimposed on a picture. Let me try to do the shuttle loop. Okay. And then it's kind of flat topped there. The art style of Sonic is interesting because it uses very geometrical shapes. Lots of 3D looking polygons because that was the style of the times. And let's see, let's do a raised platform over here. Let's maybe put a box on here, an item box. Like that. I don't know if we even have to put anything in it, but let's try like that. And let's see, let's maybe put a little floating island off here somewhere. Something like that. Okay. And, oh, you gotta have a palm tree. Wouldn't be Green Hill without a palm tree. So, I usually start with the trunk. And then I do triangles for it. That was a little weird, but it's okay, I guess. Do a big one up front. Just kind of just make some things like that. And that's kind of how I do it. Even if it doesn't entirely make sense. Something like that. And then I'll put the growth rings down here. So you can see how tall that palm tree grew year after year. Something like that. That'll work. Now let's see. Am I going to be so crazy as to do the details of squares all over that? Really not sure. But how about let's do the sea. We'll do the water back behind. that. And then there's kind of that mountainy sort of thing that's back there. Kind of those, let's see, how does it go? Something like that, right? Something like that. We'll just kind of try like that. And then we'll put some clouds in the sky. And I like to kind of do just puffy white clouds like this. That's not exactly the Sonic style, but something like that. Just something for the parallax scrolling to catch on to. Maybe I should have brought some gray to put underneath that. Let's see. Yeah, let's see. Maybe I should try to put some of the recessed parts in there. You know how there's like kind of parts in there that look like they're sort of sunk in. They're sunk inside like that. Sometimes that happens. And again, I'm not doing it perfectly, and that's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect. I'm not going to get it all right, but it'll do. It gives the appearance of depth. But why don't we go ahead and we'll try doing... my foot's falling asleep. Let's, actually, tell you what, I'm going to start in back here. I'm going to do some of these background mountainy sort of areas. When I used to draw Sonic as a kid, I would draw, I was trying to think, like I did in this video, what would be the best use of my paper? I didn't even use clean paper like this, I just used my notebook paper. So all of my old drawings had those blue notebook lines, the ruling. And, but I thought to myself, what would be the best bang for buck for my picture? So I ended up deciding to draw the boss fight. For one thing, it would allow me to simply draw Sonic as a buzzsaw in his spin attack, and not worry about drawing him so detailed in every picture. So it was always just Sonic and his dash attack, or his spin attack, hitting Robotnik for the last time to beat him. So it would show the boss, Robotnik, what his design was for that level, and it would also show how to beat him. And I would put tails in there too. So that would just be a ball with the two tails following. And that's what I did. That was how I drew Sonic for a lot of it. I did Sonic's 1, 2, 3, and Knuckles. And I did Sonic's Spinball. at the time. I think that's all I had. Maybe for this I can try to... I'll try something like this so I can sort of do the check marking. Check boxing. That might work a little. We'll see. I don't know if I'm going to keep on that. Now let's see. How about we start? Let's do... Oh wait, we gotta do the sky blue towards the... Actually, there's a turquoise too. What does turquoise look like? We can do turquoise towards here. But that was as far as I got, was Sonic Spinball. I never did Sonic 3D Blast, and I never had any of the Game Gear games, so I never did those. And that was as far as I got, and I did that through, I think I was 3rd grade is when I did that. It was either 3rd or 4th grade is when I did those. Okay, now I'm going to switch to sky blue, and I'm going to carry on from there. Try and do a little blending. It works okay, huh? Shaking the table a lot. And then, at some point, I think I was in 7th grade, when I was trying to figure out what kind of Sonic I should draw next in my notebook papers and on my classroom things and on stuff, I got the idea of drawing Sonic with lightsabers because I like Star Wars, as you know, if you're a frequenter on my channel. And but I also like Sonic, and so I gave Sonic lightsabers and force powers, and I made a comic of Sonic versus Metal Sonic. And I gave I gave Sonic a blue lightsaber, and I gave Metal Sonic a black lightsaber. Because at that point there was a book, expanded universe novel called Dark Saber, and I just made it Metal Sonic's blade black, is what I did. And that was before there was any Dark Saber, because there was no Star Wars Rebels, there was no Clone Wars at that time. This was in the early 2000s, mind you. Okay, this was back before, when Lucas was still owning Lucasfilm. And so that's what I did. And then eventually I had Knuckles come into the mix, and he helped out too. So then it became Sonic and Knuckles and Metal Sonic. And they both teamed up on him and beat him up and cut him apart and such. And I think I was inspired by a little bit of Calvin and Hobbes as well, because there was a little bit of mischievousness in it between the two of them. And, oh, I guess I'm getting blue sky next to the blue hedgehog, so maybe I better... I have a violet there. I could put some violet in the sky to darken it up a little. So what happened was they did their little victory pose, and Knuckles like turned his lightsaber upside down like it was a cane, and he leaned on it, and then it burned a hole into the ground where he lost it. Or Sonic did. Somebody did, I forget who it was. And I think it was it was Knuckles who lost his saber in the ground in my little comic. Let's see how this looks if I put a little violet. I don't know if I want to do that, but I can do it this way, I guess. I can just kind of darken it a little bit more. And so then as Knuckles has lost his saber, Sonic starts putting Metal Sonic back together piece by piece, for whatever reason that I thought it would work. And then after he's got him put back together, he turns on. And then he realizes that, or he turns on, but Knuckles grabbed Sonic's saber that was still out so he could carve out a hole so Knuckles could get out his own saber that was stuck in the ground. And with Knuckles having Sonic's saber, Metal Sonic turned on and started attacking him again. And so Sonic was left without a weapon, dodging his attacks. And he motions for Knuckles to give Sonic back his lightsaber, but Knuckles is amused at watching their fight. And then Sonic... No, it was the other way around. It was Knuckles who put it back together, while Sonic had lost his saber in the ground. And so then, with with Knuckles having a fight and Sonic being amused, Knuckles motions to Sonic to give him back his weapon. But Sonic is amused by it, and then Knuckles gives like a force punch that knocks out Metal Sonic. And then, shaking mad, he has his hand out for his saber, which Sonic gives back to him. And then in the last panel, Tails is there and he says, "Well, how'd it go?" And Sonic says something like, "Knuckles is a real grouch." So I'm pretty sure that I borrowed from Calvin and Hobbes in my ideas, facial expressions, and just some basic plot ideas. I'm sorry, I realize that I have the heater turned on in my room, so you can hear that in the background. I don't know if that's distracting or not soothing at all. I may not finish this all the way through, just because I've been at it for a while, and I doubt that anyone is continuing to watch it at this point. But we'll see. You know what? How about we'll just kind of... Why not? We just won't make the squares tiny, I guess. Enough to get the point across of the classic checkered look. So this will take some time. Maybe if you want to leave in the comments, what was your first video game that you played? What system was it for? How old were you when you played it? Oops, wait a second. I think I already messed that up. Hang on. Yeah, okay, yeah, I did mess that up. Oh well. Like I said, it's okay. I can still darken that up. That'll work. It's okay. Oops. Were you in the, well, I don't know, some of you guys watching might have been of a different generation. The fourth generation of video games was in full swing. So that was the Sega Genesis and the Super Nintendo. And actually the Neo Geo also, but the Neo Geo was, I think, too expensive of a console. It was much more for those who were affluent, because the graphics were reportedly pretty good and the games were reportedly fun, but it was an expensive system. And what's crazy to think is that systems back then at buying price were more expensive than what consoles are now. That's crazy to think. To think of how much our parents spent for our entertainment. I didn't live in town when I was a kid. I lived out in the country. And so it was just kind of, to some degree, it was me and my lonesome. I had a brother growing up. He was older than me. Eventually he moved off to college, of course, and he had his friends and he did his thing. And so I had my games to keep me company. I had my friends, but they were friends that I had from church. So I would see them once a week, but we had a lot of fun going to each other's houses for birthdays or just for the weekend to go play video games. They had the video games, I didn't. They had the N64, and I had the PlayStation eventually. And but they had the N64, so we played GoldenEye, The World Is Not Enough, Smash Brothers. There were a couple others too. I think we played a little bit of Perfect Dark also. So we would do that. There was a computer game that we used to play also. It was called Warlords 3. I think The Rise of Heroes, I think it was also called. That was a pretty fun game. It was a strategy game, turn-based, and we would all take turns taking our turn while we were playing the other games in the other rooms. So that was a lot of fun. And there goes my heater turning off. So we had a lot of fun with that. How about that? I'll start again with the light one, so that way if I mess it up, then I can just darken it up with the other. I would appreciate it if you're still watching at this point, if you'd leave a like, maybe subscribe. If you like this kind of content, maybe I can try drawing something else. I don't know what, but I could try drawing something else. Just for fun. It's kind of soothing to do that. I'll go into this one next. Maybe another time I can just do a bunch of Sonic poses instead of doing the one pose over a thing. It's just for my... Oh, I should draw like Sonic the Hedgehog, like in words above here. I could do that. I can come back to that in a little bit. That would be a good thing to do. Shaking the table again. I don't know if that matters to you so much. Used my hands this much to draw for a while. That's not too bad. I'll go ahead and do this next. It's not a bad idea to have a pastime or a hobby like this that you can use to relax with. Something creative. You know, we're all meant to be creative in some form or fashion. We all have talents and gifts and abilities. If we have the mind to be aware of it, find it. I believe that we are all made in God's image, as the Bible says. And when God made us, He gave us our talents to use to take care of our world in some form or fashion, to take care of each other, something that we can use to appreciate Him. Perhaps some of you are gifted with the taking care of plants. I knew someone who could take a dying plant and nurse it back to health, and you would think that it was always healthy. She had the green thumb, the planter's touch, the gardener's touch. She was a master at it. There are some people who are excellent cooks. They have wonderful senses of taste, and they know how to cook a satisfying meal. There are some people who are excellent at handicrafts, in whatever fashion it would be, whether it's making decorations for your home, or whether it is fabricating something, or inventing things. Maybe they have an inventive mind and they're able to create things that can help solve problems or aid in the pursuit of some craft. Some people are very organized and they have very analytical minds, and they are good at figuring out solutions to problems. Some people are very strong and athletic. They can use their strength to protect others. They can use their strength to inspire others, to be physically fit. They can use their strength in their occupations for things that need building. There are people who are musically inclined, like myself, and whether or not we can write songs that make the whole world sing, we can at least bless others with music. I have heard it said, and I forget who said it, that music can make you intimately aware with your own self, and at the same time draw you in to the wholeness of humanity and the cosmos. So, music has a way of doing that. like even a song for a language you don't know. Like Pavarotti when he sings Nessun Dorma. And I know there were others who sang it as well. Many of you who are my subscribers actually came to me through my video that I made, a tribute to those reacting to the beauty of opera, where the music moves you so because of its power and its beauty, even if you don't know what is being said. Just the music and the sound is enough to move people to tears. And I made a video that was a variation on that theme of reacting to Nessun Dorma by using the scene from Interstellar where Matthew McConaughey is reacting to videos of his family sent to him as their lives are progressing and his is not. And I'd seen that sort of thing used before to react to things like Vader's hallway scene or whatever. And so it was not a novel idea. But I guess people liked it enough that it became viral to some degree, or at least well viewed. And people watched it. People watched it. And that allowed me to monetize my channel, which I did not expect. I did not expect that at all. So I'm very thankful that it happened. Certainly that it has not made me rich, though, but it is nice to know that someone appreciates a talent of yours. I think I might just sort of leave it at that. An exception for perhaps putting his name up here, which I have to think about how it's done again. I think he, in the old ones, well, it's been done a few different ways. I've seen it done with orange and blue before, and then red for the smaller words, which I might do. I think I'll do it that way. Sometimes it's used with the yellow, but I haven't used orange yet, so I'll use orange on this one. And then maybe I'll use, I don't know, we'll see. Okay, so now I have to do it this way here. Okay. Alright, see. It's been a while since I've done this. Is it serif or is it sans serif? I want to say that it's just sans serif, just straight up and down. I could be wrong on that, but I think this is correct. Okay, something like that. And then put the regular blue on the inside there. these in later. Which is your favorite Sonic game? Sonic 2 was the one I grew up with, so I have an affinity for that. But I also played Sonic 3 and Knuckles a lot. It's a shame that Hypersonic hasn't come back since. They only had Hypersonic because they needed more Chaos Emeralds for the special stages. Because you can combine Sonic 3 and Sonic and Knuckles together to make one large, complete Sonic 3 game, as the original game was far too large for one cartridge. So that's what they did. But then, once you got the Chaos Emeralds, the game would be too easy for you. You'd just be super all the time. So they found a way to reset that by having the concept of Super Emeralds for Sonic to do that. And it's the only time that that's happened. There hasn't been anything that could warrant using Hypersonic again. That would be something that would be pretty epic, though. To have Hypersonic again. But it would have to be something preposterously great. And so far, all of the final adversaries have been bested by Supersonic. So there would have to be something incredibly, ridiculously strong to have to do it that way. In fact, some would say that Hypersonic isn't even canon because he only shows up once, and that's only because of a technicality of playing the games that way, but because of the game mechanic of having to start from scratch at the first levels. That's why they had to get rid of the Chaos Emeralds and Mushroom Hill. So that way you would have to collect them all again, because they had those other special stages from Sonic and Knuckles that you never got to if you were just playing Sonic 3 by itself. So, okay. Now I think I'll go ahead and I'll fill in the orange there. And then I'll put the hedgehog around it. Or below it, I mean. I have no idea how this video is going to be received. Usually my long form videos don't hardly get any views. That's why I've been redoing my voice impression videos as shorts, because that seems to get more traffic, but even then traffic is inconsistent there. I did start a Instagram just for the purpose of seeing if I could gain a new audience, expand that, and one seemingly random video of the different ones I'm doing really seemed to catch on at the right time with the right people, and it's been shared more times than it's been liked or loved, or however you say that on Instagram. And I don't know what was special about it, but it just seemed to work. And since then, I'm pleased that there's been a lot more interactions, people liking it, following me, and resharing it, or commenting, so I'm really happy for that. Okay, there's that. Now I'm going to do the hedgehog. I don't know exactly how I'm going to do it, but I'll just I feel like it kind of spreads out that way, so we'll just see what happens. D-G-E. I had to remember how to spell D-G-E. Something like that. It'll do. It'll do. So, I think I'll go ahead and leave it as that, as I'm already over an hour into this, so if you're still with me, I appreciate your watching, and I hope that you enjoyed my talents. And I guess as always, may the force be with you.